20 is 314 inches squared. 314 inches squared. Sophia, let's do answers first. If you have questions about what an answer was, and then we'll do how do you do, just because it flows better that way. Trev?
What was 15?
15 was 8x squared. John?
Number 13.
13 was 1.6 times 10 to the third. John Lick? 20, 314 inches squared. CJ? 8 was 0.00008. 0.408. Jonah?
What was 15?
15 is 8x squared. John?
6.
6 was 40 degrees. 40 degrees. Bunch of 12, 40, that is amazing. Ethan?
This is the part where I can ask how to do.
Well, you are next in line after Keeler. So, fire away. What was your question? I wish I could hear you. Oh, how about one more time, just a little bit louder. Pretend like you're talking to Sid and you just rolled over the golf cart. How loud would you be talking?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be talking at all because I would pass out.
Did you say number 2? I thought I heard you. Yeah. Here's number 2, ladies and gentlemen. Number 2 is a percent, and I would do a percent box with number 2. Just makes life a lot easier. So it looks like this. What things am I comparing? I am comparing the answers that are incorrect with the ones that are correct. Incorrect, correct, and I have total. So filling in the blanks, they say 85%. Sophia, 85% were the ones that were incorrect or the ones that are correct? Did you say correct? Correct. You are correct. So based on that knowledge, I can fill in all the rest of the blanks there. Well, at least on the percentages. If 85% are right, what percent are wrong? 15, because it all has the total 100%. And then what other box did they give me? 6 of Simon's answers were incorrect. So where does 6 go? Ethan with the
15.
It's incorrect. 6 were incorrect. This is the actual number. And I am asked for how many total? So that is this right here. I don't need the 85% anymore. I needed to figure out the rest of the percentages. And that is what I get my fraction, my equal fractions. 15 over 100 equals 6 over what number? And I would suspect, you could reduce, but I'm just going to do this. I'm going to do 15 times n equals 100 times 6, and then just divide by 15. And if you do that math out, you end up with 40. There were 40 total questions. 40. Shouldn't be that terribly difficult. Note to self. Those of you taking notes to use on the test. As you know, and Ethan Mayos has a question. We shall all give him our undivided, pardon the mathematical attention.
Number 10, I'm very confused.
Ooh, not only do we have a confused, but we have a very confused. To which I don't know what would confuse you that much on problem 10, but let's look. Ethan, did you draw the little bag? Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not, but let's do that. In the little bag, what do we have? We have 10 red. We have 20 whites. I won't spare you the agony of watching you draw those. And 30 blue. How many total marbles is that?
60.
60. And I want the probability that a marble is not red. Probability of not red marbles. Even of all those marbles in the bag, how many of them are not red?
30. Or
No.
sorry, not 50.
Right. So where is the problem there? Because you just need to reduce this, and that's where the 5, 6 came from. Divide them both by 10. That's the probability it is not red. There are 50 out of 60 marbles that are not. I repeat, one more time, not red. Said red. Trev?
I'm confused on 6.
Trev says, let's take a quick goose or a gander at number 6. Yeah, I'm not sure why this one gave people trouble, but this is what I can tell you. The first thing you need to know is that in every triangle, there are how many degrees?
180.
Triangles equal 180 degrees. I know I've got 90 of those 180 degrees right there. You cannot, as did the other class, just look at something and go, oh, well, those look equal, so I can just pretend they're equal. You don't know that, but you can figure out what they are. The second thing you need to know is that a straight line is 180 degrees as well. So here's the deal. I know this is 130 degrees. What angle added to 130 will give me this straight line? This line, that angle there has to be 50 degrees, because 50 plus 130 is that 180 straight line. Then once I know that, I know I have 90 degrees, I have 50 degrees, and I know I need another number, and that has to all add up to 180 degrees. 90 plus 50 is 140. 140 plus another 40 degrees gives me that missing angle. You can't just say, oh, x looks the same as that, let's just call them both 45. Another way you could have looked at it is you had 90 of them right there, what number added to 50 gives you the other 90? That's just the way that works. Range weight.
12. How do you do it?
How do you do number 12, ladies and gentlemen? No different than any other equation we ever do in the world, Braden. How do I get the letter x by itself here, sir? What is your thoughts?
Don't you do the opposite?
And what would that make it?
3x minus 1.8.
I'm sorry, say again?
3x minus 1.8.
Right. You need to subtract 1.8 from both sides. Did you subtract it from both sides? Because the other rule is what you do to one side, you have to do to the other.
Yeah. I think
So it goes away here, there's nothing left here, but 6.0 minus 1.8 is 4.2, and that equals 3x. And then the last thing I do on 90% of equations, to get the x by itself, what do I have to do now? That's with a fraction, there's no fraction there. This is just simply divide by 3. Divide by 3, because this was 3 times x, you do the opposite, divide by 3. So what is 4.2 divided by 3 but 1.4? X would equal 1.4. JD,
What was the answer to number 11?
11 as best I know is 21. A, B,
I'm still confused on 6.
well, let's revisit number 6. Number 6. All right, tell me where you are. What don't you understand? You don't understand this is 180 degrees in a triangle. You don't understand this 180 degrees make up a straight line because this angle plus that angle. Or you don't understand when you know this is 50, how you know that is 40. Which part? The triangle part? Well, you have to give me a starting point. You don't know how I can get this angle here? Do you don't understand how I can get that? All right, here's what you have to understand. Let's go to the very basics. How many degrees are in a circle? 360. a straight line in a circle is half of a circle, a straight line has to be half of 300. A straight line has to be 180 degrees. So if you have two angles that form a straight line, they have to add up to 180 degrees. So if I know this is 100 degrees, this has to be 80 degrees. If this was 80 degrees, if this was 110 degrees, that would have to be 70 degrees. A straight line must, I repeat, must be 180 degrees. So if I know this is 130 degrees, the other angle that makes up the straight line right there has to add up to 180 degrees. And if you take 180, subtract 130, you will get this 50. I know this is 90 because that's what the little square corner means when they put it in a triangle. It's 90 degrees, it's a right angle. So I have, of my 180 degrees that every triangle has inside its angles, I already have 140 of them. And what number added to 140 gives me 180? Has to be 40. Not sure I can go any, those are just kind of mathematical givens that you have to know. Straight lines are, if somebody tells you to do a 180, that means you've completely turned around and are going the opposite direction in a straight line the opposite way. If somebody says do a 360, they've not told you to do anything because you just turn around and face the same direction you're facing. Brody,
Can you do number 18?
there is a relatively good chance I can do number 18. Brody, what one must recognize there, do you see any equal signs for number 18?
No.
Okay, so you're not going to get x equals something. You can only simplify number 18. Okay? Which means you can only add like terms. And you can't add like terms until you get rid of parentheses. Anytime you see parentheses, you should think of what property? The distributive property. You need to get rid of these parentheses by multiplying both of these things by 2. I have my 3x. What is 2 times x?
2x.
2x. What is 2 times a negative y? A negative 2y. It becomes minus because that's a subtraction sign. And then you just need to collect, combine, add, whatever like terms. Notice there's no x squareds there, and there won't be because this is 3x's plus 2 more x's. What is 3x's plus 2 more x's? 5x's, not 5x squareds. There are no y's, so the y term has to stay as just 2y. 5x minus 2y. 5x minus 2y. Let's do 17 while we're on the like term thing here. Please understand this. This one does have x squared terms. Okay, I have 5x squareds, and there's one more over there. How many total x squareds is that? 6x squareds. They don't become x to the 4th powers because I'm not multiplying them together. 5x squareds plus 2x squareds are 6x squareds. How about what's a minus 3x and a minus 1x? You gotta think about what that means. Minus 3x's means you have 3 minus x's. And I have another minus x. I put all those together and collect them. I have
Minus 4x.
4 minus x's. Minus 4 x's. They don't magically appear to whatever. Good thing we have our extended lunch period, because this could take years. Years, Charlie, it's years. I have not stood up like this in 20 years. Trevor.
9.
Did you make a table, sir?
Yes.
Alright, so you have this function, which is just a linear equation, just an equation. Notice it does not tell you what x is, so you get to pick, and I would always pick 3. Trev, what numbers did you pick for x?
0.
0. What?
I went from 0, 1, 2, 3.
Well, let's just give me 3.
Oh, 0, 1, 2.
0, 1, and 2. Honestly, can we just... Now here's what you have to do then. And I would have picked bigger numbers so I don't have to deal with negatives, but we can do it here. I'm putting 0 in for x. So what is 0 minus 2?
-2.
Negative 2. What is 1 minus 2?
-1.
And what is 2 minus 2? That's an easy one, 0. So you need to take those 3 points and graph them on a coordinate plane. 0, -2 is right there. 1, -1 is right here. 2, 0 is right here. And your line looks like this, which is that same line that I tried to graph there. Maybe it would have been more helpful if you to just pick 2, 3, and 4. You'll still get a straight line. Still be that same line, just you don't have to deal with positives or negatives. Anna, I haven't danced like that in 20 years. Yeah, number 1. Did you sketch it, Anna Baumgartner? What's that? Is there a reason why? It's a room. A room is 20 feet long, 10 feet wide, and 8 feet tall. Honestly, if I keep getting these pops, I am going to. And if it asks you for capacity and cubic feet, what does that mean? What mathematical thing is in cubes? Area, length, perimeter, huh? That's volume. They're asking you how many cubes, which is volume. And the nice thing, children, is the volume of a rectangular prism. You don't have to use that area of the base thing. You can just use volume is length times width times height. You are just going to multiply the 3 dimensions they give you. 20 times 10 times 8. And you get 200 times 8, which is 1,600, whatever that is, feet cubed. Note to self, tomorrow's test, just multiply the 3 dimensions. How much you give me to put on the all-call and say, hey, the Maiden Pizza's coming? It's just kind of fun. CJ.
It is 15. Yeah, it is 15.
There's an outside chance. I haven't danced like this in 30 years.
Sure you got it right.
15, ladies and gents. 2 to the cube to the -1 to
Can the upper
the.
grade teachers go to channel 4?
Oh, this is going to get ugly. How am I supposed to? How am I supposed to do anything with this?
You catch that?
I'm going to channel 4 right now.
You missed it. We're already done talking. Mr.
Wait,
Ron. You're too
It
slow.
just came right now.
You're slow.
Did it not? Did Miss Shum just tell me?
It just
Yes.
told right
There's no
now.
way you could have had a discussion in the amount of time that I just had.
We did.
Huh?
We did. We had a discussion.
I haven't danced like this in 20 years.
We're switching classes at 12:10.
Yeah, I saw the hot thing. It's not so- You know how hard it is to try to teach anything, given all this pizza? What, did Pizza Hut forget us again?
It's not Pizza Hut, it's Papa John's.
Oh, have you been in Papa John's? Have you seen the people that work in Papa John's?
I have not, because I don't usually eat at Papa John's.
I love, you know my favorite pizza is their barbecued chicken pizza with jalapenos. Oh,
Oh, that sounds good. Except for the barbecue
thin
sauce.
crust, cut in squares.
I just like to
See, when you have a Nair that works at Rosati's, you get
Oh,
free
well,
discounted
I can't
pizza at
afford
Rosati's. So,
Oh, is there?
when John makes pizzas. So,
Are we done with channel 4?
we are, I think they're off. That's funny that it's delayed.
I'm still here.
Oh. Tell.
Okay,
So we already had a discussion.
Mrs. Nyer is here and says discussion has been closed.
Why didn't she use the walkie to tell me the discussion has been closed?
Because I'm off Channel 4.
Because she is done with Channel 4 and she will never go to Channel 4 again. That's almost her exact words except for that last part.
I'm going to Channel 16.
Sorry, but I missed the whole conversation. How did you not hear to go to Channel 4? Dealing with students, trying to be helpful? I'm also trying to teach here. These poor kids.
These poor 7th graders, they're missing a very important math lesson.
They need to learn about the human body.
I second that one.
Hey, 5th grade's trying to read. I mean, 6th grade's trying to read.
I'm part of that conversation.
For them, they even stop.
I would know we're watching.
How about this, can we just sum everything up and that we're changing classes at 12:10? That's the last I heard. Will that work? Can we get off Channel 4, move on to the human body?
Fifth grade next week.
Maybe you gotta do, she's watching that.
I would just turn on the
Alright.
walkie, just like scream.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's do the easy part first. Well, this is, don't overthink this. Okay, don't overthink this. We already said, probably the first thing you should deal with is the negative exponent. How do you make a negative exponent positive? You just move the whole thing and put it on the bottom. It becomes x to the first power. Now life is good. I can do 2 to the 3rd power. That's not so bad. It's not 6 because it's 2 times 2 times 2. It's 8. Okay. X to the 3rd means I have 3 x's times themselves, and on the bottom I have 1x. That means, because they're the same, I can cross off one of the x's with one of the x's, and I'm left with an x squared. And what is anything to the first power? 1. So what happens if I multiply 8x squared times 1? I get 8x squared. It doesn't, 1 does not change anything. We're multiplying by 1. Hence the whole thing changes to 8x squared.
I just have a question about that.
Sure.
Why is
Y is 0
I mean,
exponent. X is not.
I mean, why is that? Why do we need a 0 exponent? Can we just when it comes to this kind of problem? Why would we?
Ethan, you have to ask a higher math power than me. I don't write the stuff, I just teach it. Right? So talk to either Einstein or do you know the math we do now has been around since like thousands of years before Jesus was even here. This stuff is not. This is ancient stuff that we teach. Now you don't need to know it, but probably the guy that's working at Cape Canaveral or Cape Kennedy or wherever those rocket scientists are, I'll bet they use 0 exponents every now and then. So,
2 questions. First one, what's the answer to number 11?
number 11 for the 17th time is 21. Actually, it's probably the 3rd time. And your second question, John, I can only imagine.
So for number 2, which way would you recommend? Would you recommend cross
Ooh,
product?
teacher recommendation for number 2. Let me look at 2. Wait, would I recommend what?
Would you recommend doing
I would recommend whatever way works best for you.
either cross products or turning 15 over 100 into a fraction 3 over 20 and then do it 6 over whatever and
Sure.
then multiply
Cross
3 times
product,
6
John,
is
whatever
6.
way you feel more comfortable doing it. I am not going to dictate the way that some may like and some may not. Carolina, is this one the ones the problems you actually did or not? Yes? Can I do number 4? I absolutely can. If you look at the rules for unit multipliers, step number 1 is to take the measurement that you're given and put it over 1. I am given 123 feet. I am going to put that over 1. I am then going to multiply it by the unit multiplier that makes the label, key there, label, cross off and turns it into the label I want. That's why they gave you this. My unit multiplier is going to be 1 yard over 3 feet or 3 feet over 1 yard. How do I know which one goes where? What label has to go down here? feet, because it has to cross cancel. And since I'm going from feet into yards, yards have to go up there. And then I just plug the numbers in. There are 3 feet in 1 yard. Doing the math, the labels cross off, which is what I want, because I want my answer to be in yards, not in feet. And then it's 123 times 1 over 1 times 3, which is 3, which means it's just a division problem. 3 goes into 123 41 times. And the answer is 41. I haven't done a problem like this in 20 years. Please understand, there is absolutely positively no reason for you to get problem number 5 wrong. It did not ask you to draw it, sketch it, or anything. It just asked you to give the new coordinates. And you simply just have to take whatever the scale factor is and multiply it by every number, not just one. 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 3 is 6, 6 comma 6. Negative 1 times 3 is negative 3, times 3 times 2 times 3 is 6. Negative 3 times negative 3, 6, and negative 3. You could not ask for an easier problem. You don't have to sketch it, you don't have to do any of that, you just have to give the new coordinates. And for that, I'm out here. Wait, no. How do I say I'm out? Because I don't like cheeseburgers, and I think they're an menace to society, I'm out. Thank you, Mark Cuban. Yes, Brady.
How do you do number 11?
Oh, number 11. John Daffenberg would probably ask my preference on this, but my preference is whatever works for you. One of 2 ways. You can either try to reduce 12 over 20, because when we make equal fractions, if you can figure out what to multiply 20 by to get 35, you just have to do that to the top. But it doesn't. That's not an easy one. Some of you maybe can, but it doesn't matter. So you could try to reduce this to get to a fraction that could that. What can you divide 12 and 20 by? 4. If I divide them by 4, I end up with a 3 on top. Divide 20 by 4, I get 5. Now I can work with this new fraction. Can I go from 5 to 35? Yes. It's 5 times 7, so I multiply the top times 7 as well, and that would be my answer. If you don't like that, or you'd rather do it a different way, which is probably a little more difficult, you can do cross product. 20 times x has to equal whatever 12 times 35 is. And the reason that's not really good is because 35 times 12 is what? 70 and 35, 420. And then you have to divide that by this 20, which will still give you 21, but it's a little more mathematically challenging. This is probably the easier of the ways to do it. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Bring
13.
then. Please tell me it's a. Oh yeah. Brayden, what did you get and why did you get it wrong, sir?
I think I know what I'm doing, but
Well, tell me, explain to me, what do I do to solve this?
I got 7.8 times 10 to the 13th power.
Look, sounds to me like you just subtracted these numbers, and that's not the case. This is a division. You divide the numbers on the left. So it's actually 3 divided into 4.8, which gives you a 1.6. The part you probably got it mixed up with is when you do scientific exponents division, you do some subtracting, but it's the exponents that get subtracted. This gets divided, these exponents get subtracted. I'm sorry, this should be 1.6 times 10. And you take the bottom away from the top. 8 minus 5 is 3. Divide the numbers, subtract the exponents. We might as well jump right ahead to 14, because some of you will get this wrong. Whereas opposed to multiplication, you multiply the numbers. 4 times 3 is 12, and you add the exponents. 3 plus 4 is 7. Now why is that wrong, Garrett? Why is 12 times 10 to the 7th not the correct answer? because of O over O is there was?
It's not.
Connor, why is 12 times 10 to the 7th not the correct answer?
It has to be between 1 and 10, but then once you change it, you have to change the exponent.
Right.
So when
You're not allowed to have a 12 because that answer has to be between 1 and 10. So you have to move the decimal one place there to get it to 1.2. But if you change where the decimal is, this exponent changes. And the rule of thumb is this, it has to balance it out. If you make this smaller by 1, you have to make this bigger by 1. It's the law of smaller to bigger and bigger to smaller. Actually, it's pretty much my own rule. I don't know if anybody else uses it. It's probably not the best rule, but there's a rule nonetheless. Ethan Thomas.
Can you do number 60 on the board?
I can do it on the projector thing. Is that good enough, or you want me to actually do it on the chalkboard?
Projector slash.
I will project that then. Ethan. Ladies and gentlemen, this is really nothing more than a order of operation thing. You must understand that this division bar, fraction bar, cuts this problem into two equal pieces. You have to simplify the top, get an answer, simplify the bottom, get an answer, then do your division. Did you take 1.2 minus 0.12?
Yes.
1.2 minus 0.12, and you got what, Mr. Ethan?
I got
Hopefully
1.08.
Correct. Then that's your new top number, 1.08. On the bottom, you get whatever you get when you multiply 0.12 times 2, which is 0.24. Then did you do that division, sir?
I did.
I'm guessing not correctly, though. Otherwise, you would have got the answer. 0.2 far. Did you put that on the outside?
I did.
Did you move the decimal 2 places?
Yes.
And how many times does 24 go into 108? 4 times, which is 96. You get 100, 102, add a 0, 24 goes into 125 times. Hence the answer, 4.5. What did you get?
I got 4.2 here.
Do you know why?
Yes, because for some reason I did 24 goes to number 8, 4 times times 6, and I put an 8. I subtract. Oh, I put an 8. Yeah, minus 8. Okay, and I brought the 0 down, and then that's 72, and then I got 8, and it just continued.
This is always the awkward part of class where you'll have to fix his toenails. Hannah Bob Gardner.
What was number 3?
Number 3, ladies and gentlemen, was 900.
Can you do number 3?
I would love to do number 3. We can't have too many left. 3 being one of them.
7.
The machine can produce 120 plastic dinosaurs in 8 minutes. How many can it produce in an hour? You have to kind of recognize this. There's more than one way to do this, so if you did a different way, that is fine. But this is really a ratio problem. You are comparing the number of plastic dinosaurs something can make per the amount of time it takes. And it said you can do 120 plastic dinosaurs in 8 minutes. But they don't want you to figure out in 8 minutes, they want you to figure out how many you can do in an hour. So unfortunately, an hour is not in minutes, but you probably know how many minutes are in an hour, which is 60. So here is really your problem. 120 over 8 equals n over 60. And again, this falls into the same category as that last thing we did. You could either see if you can reduce this to something, because 8 times nothing really is 60. Okay, or you could just do the cross product thing, which would look like this. Let's just do it. 8 times n is 8n, and 120 times 60, well, let's do it here. 120 times 60 is 7,200. So 8 times what number is 7,200? You just need to divide by 8, and 8 goes into 7,200 900 times. Again, you could have just reduced this. 8 actually goes into 120 15 times, so you could make it a fraction of 15 over 1. 1 times 60. 15 times 60 will still give you 900. Your choice, how you want to solve it, whichever way works best. Ethan Walter, Bayless.
So number 7, I
Number 7, yes.
did all the steps. I added them all together.
You did?
I divided by the number of.
Can I ask why you did that? Why in the world would you add them together and divide? Does it ask you for the median or the mean?
Oh.
For problem number 7, ladies and gentlemen, if you got that incorrect, they asked you for the median. The difference between the highest selling price, which is this one, and the median. And in order to find the median, you have to put them in order from least to greatest, and it's the number that's in the middle of that. If you put these in order from least to greatest, the number that actually ends up in the middle is, I believe, 345,000. Because this number would go first, this is second, this is third, this is fourth, and this would be the biggest. So the third number out of 5 is the middle. So you need to take 415,000 and subtract 345,000 because they want how much bigger that one is, which gives you a big whopping 70,000 simoles. Does that help, Ethan? So note to self, find, which would have been a lot faster than finding the average. A lot. I repeat. CJ, can I help you, sir?
Yeah, just like finish all of them. You just did 8. I don't
Just to do it, yes. Even though CJ doesn't even care why it is. They just want you to change 8.0 times 10 to the negative 5th in the standard form, which means in regular decimal notation. Please understand, the exponent is not how many zeros you add. The exponent is how many places you move the decimal. I'm going to take this decimal and move it backwards 5 places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in order to do that, I have to put zeros to take up every value. It ends up just having 4 zeros and an 8, not 5. That is the whole thing here, CJ? We've done all 20?
No.
Yeah, we've done 19. How do you do 19, Mr. Hahn?
Oh shit.
19. Well, I look at that and I think it's got a box and triangles, so I go, oh, it's a pyramid. Since it doesn't have anything round, that crosses off cylinders and cones.
Whoa.
And a prism has to have equal bases, so I believe